Golden Axe 2, as you might have guessed, is the sequel to the original Golden Axe. Specifically, it's the sequel to the Sega Genesis port, and taken in that very specific context, it's solid stuff. It expands on the mechanics and dark fantasy tone of its predecessor, while staying true to its simplistic arcadey design. Basically, the movement is more fluid, the levels incorporate much more verticality, and as such, there are many more options for dynamic combat encounters. The battles feel rich in character, as both you and your enemies weave around one another, preempting swings, leaps, and charges with a combination of targeted aggression and precise evasion. Your foes are smarter this time around, taking great pains to actively dodge attacks or even knock you out of the air. There are some mini-bosses here that are effectively as difficult as fighting Death Adder himself, thanks to the fine accuracy of both their movement and hitboxes. It's all rather joyful in practice, too. The magic system also got an immense overhaul, allowing you to store and trigger certain tiers of magic rather than spend all your mana at once. There's a good reason to do this, too. For just one example, Axe Battler's second tier magic enables him to lift and hurl every enemy on screen into a single spot, instantly corralling them and providing an incredible advantage in combat. Controlling crowds like this is a huge deal, so this is a pretty genius way to encourage engagement with the new magic system. It's thoughtful and clever, but still stays remarkably close to the series' roots. Lastly, there's a pretty profound dark fantasy atmosphere on display, perhaps more so than the original game. The music is heavier in percussion and dramatic instrumentation, making the whole score feel ripped straight from those pulpy 80s titles. Peering into a crystal ball, you're told your next destination is the cave known as the Dragon's Throat, and sure enough, it's a brilliantly brutal gauntlet of brimstone ash and flowing fonts of furious lava. Or there are the decrepit ruins of ancient temples, strongholds of wars long past, and ravaged villages. Basically, the dark got darker and the moody got moodier. The gameplay does well in matching this new tone with the aforementioned increased difficulty. So yeah, this is quite a good game with a deep respect for its inspirations. Does that justify its existence as a sequel? Maybe not. Don't get me wrong, I love it, and they did basically everything right, but the original was just so sharp and succinct. This sequel feels desperate to be longer, and while the enhanced level design mitigates the padding somewhat, its predecessor just set the bar really, really high.